I hate people talking about Somber. I hate people talking about Colin Gray. I hate people talking about Sienna Spira. I hate people talking about literally anyone, but I feel like we need to talk about one person that would actually deserve to be at least nominated for a Grammy. Audrey Hobert. The JB record Who's the Clown was one of the greatest albums that came out in the past year, and it wasn't just sonically refreshing but also lyrically. And in today's video I want to talk about why I feel like she's doing what many of the pop girls are trying to achieve right now, but many of them seem to fail, and that is authentic and interesting songwriting. My name is Louise, this is the Pop Radar, and if you're interested in videos like these, please subscribe to my channel. Okay, first of all, I want to address the whole songwriting discourse that has been going on for a while now. I feel like many people are wondering who's gonna step into Taylor Swift's footsteps and be like the big new songwriter pop girl of our generation. And while we all know that is Olivia, I want to talk about someone who's like more on the come up. I'm not necessarily saying that she's stepping into her footsteps, but I feel like Audrey is such an interesting case study of songwriting. Okay, first point, storytelling. Audrey doesn't just tell us about her emotions as a songwriter, she's telling us stories, like real things that happened to her, or like real thoughts she actually had. She kind of reminds me of country songwriting in the sense that she immediately situates us as the listener to the exact room where it happened, or like the exact thought she had. For example, she opens her songs usually with a line that immediately captures you. In Wet Her, she says, "I'm at my house, I had a drink." In Chateau, she says, "I watched her walk in." "I like to touch people," she says, "I had a thought, what if somebody asked me?" And we are immediately kind of like in her head almost. She's also very descriptive and like randomly specific. She mentions details that other people would probably leave out, but she uses them to kind of build the whole scenery, and we can really imagine being, for example, in the room or like being in the situation with her. She's saying things like in Sex and the City, "He's heating up and eating up a pizza pocket," and these are just like unnecessary details, but they are necessary for the song, they're necessary for the whole storytelling of it all. Bowling Alley is like the most interesting song, like storytelling wise, because it's a whole story perfectly rhymed and kind of told in one song, like in 3 minutes. And I really like what she did, like with the first and the second verse, and like switching up like a few words to kind of tie the story together. I don't think anyone cares if I go or not. And then she says, "The whole place totally cares if I go or not." Also, like the chorus and the bridge tie the song together. And she has a way with words and a way with songwriting. I think she mentioned in an interview that she thinks of songwriting sometimes as like movies almost, like things she really wants to tell us as a whole. This songwriting style is not just interesting, it's also relatable, like for all the indecisive introvert girlies, the inner conflict of like going out or like staying at home. She describes it perfectly. She also often like mentions like fake scenarios she makes up, and she really lets us into her brain, into her thoughts, almost like we're her diary. Second point, character. Audrey is authentic. She really is that kind of cool girl, that kind of weird and awkward girl, but in a relatable way and in a cool way. And she's not out of touch, and her level of fame so far has really protected her from missing out on like usual and normal experiences. That's why she seems so close to us, even though she really isn't. She's a celebrity. One of her many interesting characteristics is that she's an observer in public. She notices all these minor details. For example, in Sex and the City, she says, "Touching my leg, you don't have a headboard," or like in Chateau, she says, "Long dress in the wind, he made rounds," kind of leaving her out. She notices things that other people don't. She's really kind of quiet, and she, as I said, is an observer. She mentions things that I haven't heard before in pop songs, but I've definitely thought before, and she really is confessional in that way. I know everyone and their mother wants to call themselves a confessional songwriter these days, but she's just so raw and honest and authentic, and her insecurities feel relatable. It's also not just about appearance. I mean, she's insecure and like analyzing her whole behavior and questioning her behavior in public, and that's why she's so relatable. I mean, it's also relatable to say, "Why else would you want me? I think I've got a fucked up face." But it's also more relatable to say, "I'm gonna fall in love just to find out they paid you." Like this feeling of your whole life's just kind of out there to get you. Like everyone's kind of against you. The feeling of constantly questioning what you just said, and like feeling crazy in thirst trap. I mean, she opens the song with "So I'm crazy, that's usually not my thing, but I'm crazy, suspicious and insane, can you blame me?" And this kind of like rambling songwriting style, like thoughts just bursting out of your head and bursting out of onto the paper. Audrey is really good at one thing that is kind of like missing from modern songwriting. She's describing a feeling without mentioning the feeling. She's not saying she feels awkward, she feels ugly. She's saying, "Sad old me shut up with wet hair." And that's the whole emotion captured in like one sentence. And she still is a Gen Z girly at heart. I mean, she's saying, "I woke up from a nightmare where I love to socialize." I mean, that's something almost every one of us can relate to. But she's capturing in such a funny way, and she's so charismatic. Even her personality is real because she feels authentic and charismatic. It's like talking to a friend. Or, as I said, as if we were her diary. But her songs don't scream, I'm insecure, I'm sad. Her songs perfectly capture like the spiral you're constantly in: fear, self-assurance, then again insecurities, and then self-confidence. For example, in Phoebe, I know, but it came out like what, who, me. Also in Wet Hair, some dude asked me my name, what a rush, what a shame. You're constantly like liking yourself, but also being your biggest critic. She's also very self-reflective, because I grew up with the people-pleasing mothers and all. I've got issues, and then at the same time she's saying, I want to make it, but it's fun to be a normal girl. So she actually believes in herself, but she also really likes the comfort she had of kind of being able to still enjoy life while also making music. Her songs often feel like the conversations you have in your head with yourself. For example, your shirt's too big and you dyed your hair and you're taller than I could recall. Like, when did you get so tall? Things you say to yourself in your head when you kind of try to handle a socially awkward situation. So that's why she's so relatable. She kind of puts the inner monologue we all go through on paper. Third point, love. I love love, and I love listening to pop songs about love. I mean, some of the greatest songs ever have been written about love. I mean, it's the muse of like almost every pop song. But Audrey's take on love or like romantic relationships are so refreshingly honest. Take Sumi as an example. Sumi, I want to be wanted. I mean, it's a shame in society when women admit that they want to feel admired or like wanted and kind of seek validation from maybe an ex and hook up with an ex, even if it feels morally wrong. And that's such a relatable feeling. And it's not just, I miss my ex, I miss what we had, and I'm crying. It's, Sumi, I want to feel wanted again. She never really seems to be grieving something in her songs when she's talking about love. She's never putting the blame on the other person. She's like rather more self reflective. For example, you'll go to heaven and I'll go to hell in the meantime. Also, in my bones, yeah, I know it's platonic, but fucking your ex is iconic. I mean, I went to her concert, as you can see, and people were screaming these lyrics. People feel these lyrics, not just because they're fun, but because they're relatable. Yeah, it's iconic. I mentioned that I find her take on romantic relationships and love, also maybe just encounters for one night, very interesting, refreshing, and honest, because Sex and the City is a great example of that. It's like realizing life isn't a TV show, isn't a movie, isn't a book, and not everything's kismet or can be romanticized. And the concept of mentioning weird details of a one night stand and kind of being hard on yourself and facing the reality, do I really want this right now? Why am I even interacting in that way? Also, the motive of trying to feel loved, trying to feel admired. As I said, we find this in Sumi, but also in Sex and the City, what it's like to be admired, hot and desired. Also, I take off my cool clothes because why would I stay in those? Like trying to impress someone, trying to even more like impress yourself when you go out with your friends. And also, nobody sees me at all is the problem. You're kind of convinced that you're a great person and that someone could be interested in you, but you don't really seem to believe it. And it captures the issue of modern dating, or like modern dating as a Gen Z girly, even, or like as an introvert girly, in such a great and relatable way. And I also once again love like the balance of, if it's on the stars, then I don't want it either. So like kind of being romantic in that way, like really wanting real romantic and authentic love, but at the same time being so raw and honest. And do that again. I think that I want more. If this is it, then what is it all for? So it's just kind of the spiral you're in as a girl dating. And this may sound simple, but her take on love is also so fun. It's so fun to listen to someone not constantly like grieving. And don't get me wrong, we need these heartbreak songs. I need to cry out my eyes sometimes. I need this, but I also need to be saying, he treats me like shit, but I promise you, baby, it's worth it sometimes. And it's just fun to listen to her. Which takes me to the next point. I want to talk about friendship. And I want to talk about friendship because I feel like it's an essential point on this album. She's mentioning a lot of conversations she's having with her friends. For example, don't go back to his ass. I mean, it's a whole platonic love song basically to one of her friends, trying to protect her from this ex-boyfriend and like trying to shield her from him and trying to prevent that she's going back to him, saying, oh man, we just should have let him, don't you think? It's almost like we were in this conversation and she's telling us about it. And this whole song just like a wake-up call for her friend to get over that guy. And she really confronts him in the bridge, which is kind of romantic in a platonic way. She's saying, leave my friend alone, you were never worth her time, I'm not buying what she's selling. So like kind of protecting her and like being brave and standing up for your friends. And I really like the concept of like just having fun. It's like it's the same thing with Shooting Star. I mentioned I want to have more fun pop songs. So typical girl friendship behavior in Shooting Star. I get all my friends and sit them all down and set them apart, like discussing a boy that you like getting to know and kind of talking with your friends about it. It's just fun. It's just relatable. And also in Silver Jubilee, I would tell my sister all your secrets. I mean, that's relatable. It also counts as friendship to me. And I like hearing that female pop singers, like female pop stars, have great relationships with their female friends. I'm not saying that every pop girl is like male center and doing everything for the male gaze. I'm just saying I like hearing songs about friendship. I think we should bring that back. My last point is humor, and that's actually so important because she's funny. She's a funny girl, and she seems so fun to be around and so authentic. And I would love to have a conversation with Audrey one day because she's so unfiltered and so likable. And some of these lines even feel like they were kind of like bursted out or like said as a joke to a friend. Also, like these weird details and Sumi. Just me, does he look amazing when he's all in his Amazon basics? Like, who says that? What kind of detail is it? But it's so funny, it's so relatable because we think these things sometimes when we're standing in front of that guy. Like, why does he look like that? And why does he look so good? She's also a girl who can make fun of herself. He's the love of my life. No, he's not. Also, got a boring life story memorized, like making fun of yourself for being so obsessed and also being like a hopeless romantic in some kind of way. Also, don't go back to his ass because I got her locked up in a cellar screaming, like the concept of having your friend locked up because you're trying to prevent her from going back to that boy is just, she's a funny girl. Her line delivery is also again so charismatic and funny, like, guess I'll see you in the Best Buy, you know that I think you're the best guy. Like, who comes up with this? Only Audrey can come up with this. I'm saying it sounds so simple, but it's so effective to the listener. I mean, it kind of, you can't get it out of your head. Like, these lyrics get stuck in your head, these funny ones especially. Also, Sex and the City is kind of rather a sad song, but whenever she says, that's all for now, Mr. Driver, I'm rating you 5 stars, and kind of it cracks me up. Also, in Chateau, like being surrounded by all these celebrities and saying high school was probably better than this. I mean, she really is still a normal girl. And as I said, I feel like the level of fame she had so far really protected her from, I don't know, being out of touch. As I mentioned, I went to her concert in March, and let me tell you, first of all, she can sing. She can sing live. Everything was sung live. She hit every note. It sounded amazing. It was a small crowd. I'm not saying it was a small crowd, but like it was a small venue. But I've rarely ever felt so connected with fans at a concert. And I know at every concert, people are screaming lyrics. But I feel like Audrey's fans really understand the concept of the music and what she's trying to portray. And they understand the concept of the album and the songs. And like every lyric was felt in someone's soul. I could really tell. This was a great concert and it was so intimate. There was no big choreo, like a crazy outfit change, but it was a precise and thoughtful set, and it almost felt like she was really telling stories to the audience. I mean, she was, but it was almost like she was kind of, it was more like theater like what she was doing on stage, and everyone listened. I've never been to a concert where I felt like everyone really listened to what the artist was saying on stage. I see her having a great future. Don't forget, she also wrote That's So True. Like, Sumi was a big hit, but although I can see her having like mainstream success, I actually really want her to get like more credit for what she's doing. I want her to get like a great critical reception, like even in the future, and I want her to be recognized for such a great entry into pop music. Also, an important aspect, I feel like this album was so great because she didn't have anything to prove to us. We didn't know anything about Audrey Hobert other than like that she wrote Gracie's biggest hits, but she doesn't yet have a legacy to lose or like a big discography, and she couldn't really disappoint us. So she surprised us all, and this allowed her like full creative freedom. And I feel like I really hope that she can protect herself from like fame or like protect herself from like negativity and really continue forward with this precise creativity and like these great ideas because these were some of the most creative songs I've heard in a while. I know the Grammys are like whatever and she probably won't win, but I really want her to get nominated at least because she would really deserve it. They did the same thing to my girl Addison last year. She should have won, but it's the Grammys, you know? I'm interested. Do you listen to Audrey Hobert? What are your thoughts on her songwriting specifically? As always, leave your thoughts and opinions down below in the comment section and stay tuned for my next video. Bye.